Michelle. If you could just tell me, how did you find out you were donor conceived?
Well, next week I turned 49, and back in 2015, when I was 42, I was all into ancestry and making family trees. You know, that was a really big thing then. And Ancestry.com had started really hardcore advertising the DNA test. And I thought that that was really cool. And I didn't know a lot of my family. I have a very small family. So I went for it. And I really didn't think about it too much. And then one day I got an email from someone that I didn't know who lived halfway across the country. And they said, "Hey, I see that we are matching on Ancestry. How'd you like to find out how we're related?" And my first thought was, how did you see my Ancestry report? Because I hadn't even seen it yet. I didn't even know enough about it to have gone in myself.
Hmm.
And over the course of the next 3 days, this woman who was the same age as me told me everything about herself, about how she came to be, that her parents had used a sperm donor, and just kind of letting me figure it out. And it took about 3 days. And I leaned across the table to my husband and I said, "You know that woman I've been talking to in Texas for the past couple of days?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "That's my sister. And I came from a sperm donor." And he went, "That's ridiculous. I'm not even discussing this with you." And the next day, my mom called me and she said, "I know you've been asking a bunch of questions and stuff, and I need to come talk to you." And I said, "It's okay. I already figured it out." And she said, "What do you mean you figured it out?" And I said, "I mean, it's okay. I already figured out what's going on." And she went, "What do you mean you figured it out?" And she was completely frantic. And so then that's how I found out about it. My parents, the same as a lot of people from my generation, male female relationship, could not have a child. So my mother's doctor had told her about this program at Johns Hopkins, and so she went.
Mm-hmm.
And she had no intention of ever telling me.
Mm-hmm.
And even to this day, she'll still say, "If you'd have just stayed off that damn computer, none of this would have happened."
So,
So for the next 3 months, I talked with my sister in Texas, and then her and her husband came up to Maryland, and we met for the first time.
awesome. How was that?
I was ecstatic. It was wonderful. It was nerve wracking, you know, for before you meet someone that here's someone you're related to,
Right.
but they're a complete stranger. And I was so nervous. And within 5 seconds, that had all disappeared.
Mm.
And her and her husband actually spent the weekend at my house. So it was close quarters, like from the jump. And so it's 7 years now almost, and her and I are extremely close. And she also told me she had figured out who our donor was.
Oh,
And she had figured it out before all of the DNA stuff, and she'd had contact with him for a few years. So on that same weekend, when she had come up to visit me, he came to my house to meet both of us for the first time.
wow.
And I can tell you, the moments before he was knocking on the door, her and I were like running around, frantic, crazy,
Yeah.
that with the excitement and just nervousness of what was about to happen.
Oh yeah, I completely understand that. When my siblings and I, we drove up to New Hampshire to meet our donor, and we were, like you said, like we had to drive, so we were in a car for a very long time, and we all had caffeine, and we were like shaking, like we didn't know what was going on. So nervous. I completely understand that. Um, so what were like your emotions when you first met your donor? Like, how did you feel about actually being able to meet him?
Um, I was all gung ho. It was completely surreal, but my whole life I knew something.
Hmm.
I didn't exactly have donor conceived in the wheelhouse to think that, because it was such a rare and unspoken about thing. But my whole life, my brother and I, who's 6 years younger than I, talked about how we didn't match. And that's the best way that I can describe it. It was just, we just don't match with our parents. And so when I found out, it was like a light bulb went off that, man, this is it. This, like, and even my friends in high school joked about, "We're sure you're adopted. You have to be adopted. You're so different." Um, I'm sorry, what was the other question you had asked me about the donor?
Just about how you felt about it.
Oh,
Um,
He is a fantastic person. I really couldn't ask for a better situation. He has been open to us. He is very receptive. He answers every crazy question that I come up with. And at one point, I said to him, I said, if you knew that 40 years later, we were all going to come looking for you, would you have done this? And he had like the most perfect answer. He said, I think I always knew that we'd meet someday.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh my God, that gave me chills. It makes my very happy for you.
Yes,
So you mentioned your brother. You grew up with your brother. Does he have the same donor as you?
he does not have the same donor. I was conceived in 72 and he was conceived in 78. So back then it was only fresh specimens that were used. And my sister and I joke that we just got the guy that was available at the time.
Have you guys found any other siblings, you and your sister?
Yes, we have three other females that we have found, no boys. And my donor raised his has a son that he raised. I've never met him, but I have met all four of the donor conceived sisters.
Awesome. That's so cool. What are some of the things, like once you kind of put the pieces together with your sister, what are some of the things that helped you along in this journey that like made it maybe a little bit easier to carry?
Well, for me, it was like I said that the light bulb went off and it answered all the questions I'd had my whole life.
Mm,
Aside from that, I didn't have a lot of the trauma that a lot of donor conceived people have, that it just here you found out and now it's just a bunch of question marks. The
mm,
second I found out, my sister was there to answer all of my questions, and then the donor was there. So that I didn't have any of those what ifs or wondering. Now, of course, I still have those because mathematically, I figured there could probably be about 50 of us, and there's only five so far. So there's a lot of question marks still floating around out there. But I think just that I wasn't alone from the beginning is what helped me a lot. I will say, though, that my husband probably for 6 months wondered if he was ever going to get his wife back, because I was just in my head all of the time, like just, it's so surreal.
right.
Like,
Yeah, rightfully so. Definitely. So those are really all of the questions I have. Is there anything else that you want to share?
um, I am very happy with my donor conceived family, with that I know my sisters, that I have the one that I'm very close with, and that I do get to see my donor. I've probably seen him maybe 8 times in since I found out. But that doesn't mean that there aren't also negative aspects to how we feel, and that there is trauma involved.
Mhm.
As happy as I am, sometimes you're just in your own head, and it is a screwed up situation in a lot of ways. And I think that the industry can do a lot better.
Yeah, I agree with you. Definitely. All right. Thank you so much, Michelle.
You're welcome.